In vegetable farming, proper nursery management improves yield and profit by 20%. And this starts with good soil preparation. Then we go to preparing an appropriate or good nursery. And finally, we end up with transplanting.
So today we have for vegetable growing, and we introduce you to nursery management. And with the nursery management, we start with preparing the soil that we use in our nursery. And one of the ways of preparing our nursery bed is trying to ensure good soil. That is through soil sterilization. And with the soil sterilization, we do it with three objectives. And one objective is to kill the soil-borne diseases which you find in our soils. And the second one is to control the weeds. Those are the seeds that we normally find in our soil, so that we can destroy them. And the third one is also controlling and killing the pests that we find in our soil, the living organisms that we find in the soil. So to our farmer out there who is watching, so this is one form of the method of using soil sterilization. And this one we call it solar method, where we use the DPC and this black cavera. What we do after establishing our nursery like this, our bed, so we bring this black cavera and then we cover it. So after covering it, we make sure the whole bed is covered very well, and then you bring the soil the way it's done here. You cover it very well so that there's no escape of the heat that is inside there. So this is why we use the black cavera. For it attracts a lot of heat, and that warmth is done that we normally use, make sure we suffocate what is inside there. So then we go to another one, which is steaming method. And with steaming method, we use this drum here as it is. Then we put fire under it, and then when the water is heated here, it produces steam, and this steam goes through this pipe. And once it goes up to this pipe, so here we made it in a way that we have outlets. As you can see, the outlets here that put out the steam that is coming through this pipe. And this steam is the one that we use in heating the soil. And this one initially is supposed to be pressed under this box. And this box is the one that contains the soil inside, and we first put a DPC as well. So this DPC is also helps in preventing the escape of the steam that is caused here. So in doing all that one, we are trying to make sure everything is done very well, and all the weeds, pests, and the soil-borne diseases are suffocated.
What we have here is what we call a modern nursery. We are trying to move away from the field nursery, where the seedlings are usually contaminated with pests and diseases, and where when it comes to transplanting, the roots are damaged and the seedlings get long to establish. When we use this method, we have 20% more yield than using the traditional method. In the nursery, you must have a structure, a simple structure. The important thing is to have a covering on top which can let in light. It can be clear polythene, it can be these clear iron sheets. And then on the sides, if you can put nets to prevent insects coming in. Then the second thing that is important in the nursery is the media. We can use the soil which has been sterilized, as been shown before, but we can also use some media which is bought from seed companies. We have here what we call peat moss, which can be used instead of soil. We also have cocoa peat, which can also be used instead of soil. And the third important aspect of modern nursery management is the container which we use. Traditionally, you can use a number of containers. Pseudostems, banana pseudostems, can be used to make what we call pots. You put them together, tie around, and then fill in your soil. You can also use banana fiber, tie it around, and fill it with soil. We have what we call polypots. These are polythene, this is polyethylene. You cut it and then you fill it with soil and can be used as containers. We can also use trays, what we call speedling or seedling trays. These come in different sizes and they have different number of holes. So for bigger seedlings require bigger compartments, and smaller seedlings like onions, they can go into these smaller trays. What we are after is for the plant to develop a very strong root system.
Now, in transplanting, there are key issues that we must note. One is the spacing. The spacing has to be proper, and this goes with the variety of the crop we are putting in place. So we advise farmers to read the labels. Those labels normally have a lot of information to do with spacing and other issues. The second key issue is making the right hole size. Then the time of planting. Transplanting should be ideally in the evening when it is cool, so that the plant gets time to take on and get established. So for this particular tomato variety, we're using a spacing of 2.5 feet. This is 75 centimeters from one line to another. Then from one plant to another, we're using 60 centimeters, which is 2 feet in the farmer's language. So after making the planting hole, we add well-decomposed farmyard manure. Then next, we add DAP fertilizer. This is DAP, the ammonium phosphate, very rich in phosphorus, which promotes faster root development. We add 10 grams and we use a simple bottle top. So we apply the fertilizer. Then after applying the fertilizer, add some soil to cover the fertilizer. Because if you don't do that, the fertilizer will scorch the seedling. So next, our seedlings are ready for transplanting. These are 3 weeks. 3 weeks is good enough. Below 3 weeks, it's not good enough for transplanting. They have been hardened. Now, we make the seedling to sit on top of the soil, the fertilizer, after covering the fertilizer. Then add the soil and farm it a bit. But the key issue to ensure is that you don't go beyond these leaves, the coral leaves. The soil should not go beyond that. We should farm it a bit, mulch it, prevent loss of soil moisture, and finally give it a good start of water by watering. And this is it. Give it adequate water. Have a good start.
So I would encourage our farmers out there that before you establish a nursery, please make sure you clean your soil. Ensure the soil that you're going to use as a potting media is clean, free, and safe to be used. Don't just rush, plan for it, and for us as vegetable growers, we grow vegetable commercial. We don't just do it for fun, but just do it with the purpose of getting money out of it.